Well, the Nifty index has hit its all-time high of 9,300, led by a relief rally following the favorable outcome in the French presidential election. To discuss the outlook on the markets, we have been joined by Mr. Anil Ahuja, the CEO at IPE Plus Advisors. Thank you for your time, Anil.
Thanks, well, pleasure to be here on such a wonderful day.
All right, Anil, what do you believe is driving this rally, and is it time to get skeptical now?
The rally is being driven by liquidity, and I don't think that's a mystery. I think everybody knows that by now. So I don't think there's any issue with that at all.
Mr. Ahuja, would you be skeptical given the recent rally and the valuations? Would you be skeptical about the Nifty index right now?
So, I would not be skeptical if the liquidity flows continue, because I don't think the valuations I don't think the market is being supported by raw valuations. It is being supported by liquidity. So as long as we keep seeing domestic flows coming in the way they are, and we don't see any significant FII selling, I don't think there's any major stress to the market. The only real risk we run is that the earnings numbers disappoint, and somebody wakes up and says that this thing has gone too far. But expectations and macro for the next couple of years look fine. And under those circumstances, we should be okay. So my real concern is either we get big disappointments on the earnings side, or we get some global event which triggers a sell-off and which results in the market falling off. I don't think there's a huge upside from here, but I don't think there's any reason to be concerned at this point in time.
Mr. Ahuja, what is your outlook on the banks, given that the RBI has announced an asset quality review part 2 of sorts, plus we've had a handful of earnings so far. What is your take on banks right now, especially the PSU banks?
So I'll tell you what, if you look at the RBI aggregate credit growth numbers, those have been pretty dismal. So the system as a whole, lending has slowed down significantly. In fact, it's almost non-existent lending growth. So my concern is that while the private sector banks continue to show modest to reasonable growth, there is obviously a problem which is sitting somewhere else. So we might, by the time we're done with all the earnings, we may find that given that the total growth is not there, and if you've got a few banks which have reported growth, we will have a problem in some of the PSU banks. Again, asset quality, I don't think we've solved the problem. I think the problem has been alleviated a little bit with the kind of run we've seen in the metals and the commodity spaces, because some of those companies were in trouble earlier, and I think some of those loans will get repaid, or at least the stress will disappear. So that will be a positive, but I think earnings have to follow through, because without any earnings growth, this market does look very heady. It's now been 3 or 4 years since we've had any material earnings growth at the index level, and while we are all hoping for mid to high teens growth over the next 2 years, I'm not 100% sure yet, because the expectation is there, but I think the hard numbers haven't come in yet.
Just the last question, Mr. Ahuja, where would you be placing your bets on with respect to incremental investments?
I would actually be going contrarian right now and going to places where delivery has been proven. So I might even look at the exporters, given that the rupee has been hammered, and the fears around the H-1B visa as well as the FDA inspections, etc., has pushed IT pharma down. So I would actually at this point go for value, which is probably sitting in IT pharma, some of the consumer plays, and the better run banks. That's where I would look for incremental value. I'm not 100% sure that the metal and commodity space has a long way to run from here. It's already run up quite a lot in the last couple of months.
All right, Mr. Ahuja, thank you so much for joining us and giving us your time. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks. Bye.
Right, so as you guys have seen, we have seen the Nifty scale to new highs. Not only have we seen rollovers pick up, but last count we saw a 15% increase in the April futures towards open interest, which means there have been longs building up for the next couple of sessions as well. Moving on, as far as the Bank Nifty is concerned, once again at 22,000, once again at a lifetime high, we are looking at significant longs building up there as well. Of course, the sentiment has changed, and this is a little bit of a reversal from what we've seen in last week as well. What I'll be curious about is the final open interest spread out in the various calls and puts across the distribution. But what I can also tell you is that we're likely to see a spike in the 9,400 call, and which is likely to take up the mantle as being the next area of resistance, or and that could also be a crucial level to watch out for. We have seen the Nifty scale 9,300, and well, it's been a good day overall, at least for everyone who was in the large caps.
Absolutely, Agam. Not only the large caps, in fact, the entire market breadth remained positive. 5 gainers for every 3 losers, and in fact, all the sectoral indices ended in the green. But when it comes to the Nifty index, you had Bharti Infratel, Mahindra and Mahindra, your oil marketing companies as BPCL and IOC, all that were leading the gains. Axis Bank also ended close to 4% higher ahead of its earnings tomorrow. Tata Power, Cipla and TCS were the ones sitting on marginal losses, but it was sequential improvement in the gross NPAs that led to a rally as far as Indian Bank is concerned. That was your top Nifty 500 gainer.
Absolutely, and once again, as you can imagine, the market breadth was positive, favorable towards advances. Indian Bank, as Shraddha just mentioned, has gained as much as 8.2% in today's day of trade. This followed by Biocon, of course, following the news that they will consider a bonus issue. So on the back of that, we've seen about 8.2% gain there as well. We have IIFL Holding and Magma FinCorp from the financials, which have gained well over 6%, and Nilkamal Rain Industries and Delta Corp also catching up. Delta Corp has gained 6% today. With respect to losers, and there aren't too many in today, we have Rallis India reacting to its earnings, where we have a decline of 4% there. Eros International, this is after their, the promoters have sold a little bit of a stake, 0.6% yesterday, and Bajaj Hindustan, Anantraj, as well as Radico Khaitan also looking at a little bit of weakness. But today's day of trade definitely belong to the gainers, considering the fact that we have seen substantial gains overall. So it's been a good day of trade. There'll be plenty of other earnings that we'll be keeping an eye on tomorrow as well. But this is all that we have for today. Stay tuned in a Bloomberg Quint, and we'll see you tomorrow.